Well, I don't have any voice because I just finished doing the fake series against ZF, and I kind of went nuts at the end of that. But apparently Charmflash and Undisputed are playing now. I didn't know this. This is spur of the moment, and my throat is killing me, and I'm a bit behind, so we're going to get straight into this. This is a live narration, spur of the moment that I was not planning for. These guys are already quite a bit ahead of me in real time, so let's get straight into the game so I don't fall too far behind. So it's Undisputed on the bottom. This is round 2 content with Undisputed against Charmflash. And Breloom here is going to get a Spore off, but then he's going to overpredict and try to catch something with a Stun Spore, which is going to whiff. Focus Punch and Spikes, respectively. Big damage, 59% to the chin. Man, I didn't even get to do an intro. Like I said, by the time I knew this game was happening, they were already on like turn 4, and it's like WTF, broski. I had no idea this was happening, but yeah, I just did one series before this, and now I guess I'm doing this one. So we've got ourselves a boom, and that's going to take out Breloom, and the end result is there is one layer of spikes down, but it is double spiker for Charmflash. Whether or not Undisputed has a spinner is yet to be determined, and we are finally caught up to real time here. So it's going to be a Protect, Scouting Force, something just like that. Hidden Power Fire, which we now see that the Metagross has. 3 unrevealeds for both guys. Looks like a fairly generic TSS for Charmflash. Anytime we see both Fortress and Skarm, you could pretty much fill in the blank for the rest of the team. There's got to be a Dugtrio somewhere, and the last poke is either going to be a Bliss or a Gengar. That's going to be the team for Charmflash. Undisputed, it is less clear. He had the Breloom again this game, which a couple of people have been busting out this tournament. I think Zomog had it. I think UD had it. I'm not sold on the Breloom yet. And me being sold doesn't necessarily mean anything. You know, I was saying for a long time on YouTube that Asterachi, for example, is garbage and is a gimmick. And it went on to be a real Pokemon, including a very influential Pokemon in that year's SPL for several months thereafter. It has fallen a bit out of popularity these days, but I was wrong about it, and it was in fact a real Pokemon, even if it was kind of a product of its metagame. So maybe I'm wrong here too. Maybe Breloom really is a Pokemon. I'm still not sold. I think that poke kind of stinks and has a lot of counters, but it hits really, really hard, and Spore is one of the very best moves in the entire game. So you can't take either of those things away. Spore might be the best move in all of competitive Pokemon, and Breloom has an attack stat that's actually higher than Heracross. So I could see the merit on paper, but it just has so many vulnerabilities, whether it is the offensive Zapdos, whether it is Dugtrio, whether it is Celebi, whether it's Mence, whether it's Gyra. I see a lot of problems with Breloom. Gengar is an issue other than sporing it. Time will tell if it's just a trend that's been going on recently or if it's an actual legitimate Pokemon. In the meantime, we have a Charizard sighting here. There is the last poke, Blissey. Thump. Focus Punch right there to the grill. The nurse taking it in the belly. Soft-boiled here on another Focus Punch. And that one's a crit. So that is going to be bad luck for Charmflash, who, interestingly, is going to follow up with Dugtrio against a Pokemon that is not Arena Trapped. Flying Pokemon are immune to Arena Trap. Now, granted, Rock Slide, Charizard's 4x weak. It would hit it and it would kill it very easily. But what could happen here is Charmflash actually switches it up. Watch. Earthquake! Do it! No! He does get a crit on Rock Slide, though. That might tempt him to stay in and do it again. He's going to resist some temptation and not do it. And actually, it looks like it would have been better for him to stay in because the self-destruct, actually, I think hitting the Dugtrio there is probably better than hitting the T-Tar. So Charizard comes in. I think T-Tar has to stay in to prevent a free substitute or free Focus Punch here. Yeah, you're going to die to HP Grass, but I don't know how much purpose the T-Tar is going to have. He disagrees. He switches it up, and he goes to Skarm into HP Grass, which is fine, but I don't know what this accomplishes, actually. Because Fire Blast is easily going to toast it here. Should it connect, Skarm is just going to insta-die. Fire Blast, yeah, I mean, that's just an easy one-hit KO, so I'm not sure what the point of that switch was. I guess he thought Skarm had little purpose, given the fact that both Pokemon remaining for Undisputed toast it, and maybe he's right. He goes Rock Slide again. That was another kind of 50-50 because Charizard wasn't trapped. Had Undisputed gone to Swampert on that Rock Slide, which I'm kind of surprised he didn't. Even had Charmflash gone Earthquake, is it that big of a deal? Swampert would have been fine. I'm surprised that Undisputed lets that happen. And now he's going to stick it out and go Rock Slide again. He's going to get a flinch, but I really question how viable it is to continue doing this. He's going to switch at this point, and he fodders off T-Tar, so we end up in a 2-on-2. We end up with Pert on Pert, Undisputed with the healthier Swampert. Here's Zapdos, and that is a very crappy Hydro Pump miss. But I don't know if it changes the bigger picture here, because if Zapdos has HP Grass, which we're going to see right now that it does, then it's game anyway, because there's no move that Dugtrio is going to be able to make here that's going to beat both Zapdos and the Swampert. Even if he crits them there or flinches them or whatever, kills them with the Rock Slide, it would not change the fact that Swampert would come in, handle the Rock Slides just fine, and Dugtrio/Charmflash would lose. So it's going to be a Game 1 victory for Undisputed. And yeah, we're going to chillax and wait for Game 2. In the meantime, okay, I was going to say, why the fuck do I have 8 messages, man? Let's see what fair... Nah, let's not, actually, because it might be something private. It might be something not intended for the public. I will check that out after, just out of respect for Fakes' privacy. It could be anything. It could be him shit-talking ZV. It could be him rage-quitting the tournament. It could be him wanting to tell me stuff about the team that was never intended to be made public. I think the safer play is to wait to click on this, though I am very tempted. Let's see. Replays. Got our little round table thing going. Just talking to my buddy Jabba. Prediction thread. Yeah, Sam's on top of that. Cool stuff. And then, let's see, what do we got going on here? There we go. Here's game 2. Oh, shit. Missed a couple turns. Let's start that. Let's switch sides. Oh, boy. Switch sides and first turn. All right. Undisputed on the bottom. Zapdos on Milo. Draws out a Blissey switch. Turn 1 Toxic. Here is Lax into Blissey. And that's going to draw out an Ice Beam. No sand shown for either one. Charmflash's default play style so far throughout this tournament has been defensive TSS-ish kind of teams, which seems to have been the standard and the norm for players in his position, basically non-ADV players, non-ADV mains entering into this tournament for the first time. Usually they have defaulted to safe, standard-ish teams like this. And we are caught up to real time. So we have Claydol, which might indicate Magdoll. Certainly, I mean, Milo and Celebi both really appreciate Skarmory being gone, so there's a lot of reason to think that Charmflash has a Mag somewhere. And Undisputed very often busts out the double electric team. That's kind of one of the things that he's known for. And it looks like he's got that again. He's got the Zapdos and the Magneton here. Psychic 37% puts Zapdos in a position where he will not live another one. So Undisputed has to be careful here. There's definitely incentive for Charmflash to just stay in and go straight Psychic again. And that is exactly what happens. He's going to connect with an opposing Celebi for Undisputed. Previously unrevealed. There is a Specs drop here, which, I mean, it could matter. If he's going to Baton Pass it away, for example. Or if Celebi from Charmflash has HP Fire. But none of that stuff occurs. We end up with Blissey on Lax, and these are both extremely bulky right now with no sand. See what they both want to do. Lax obviously has the advantage in this 1v1 matchup, unless the Bliss has counter, which would be a nice little surprise move. But counter Bliss, while it is a thing, and I have seen it in tournament play, it's very, very uncommon to begin with, and maybe even more so these days. I think that is a fairly outdated set. Lax can also learn counter, for the record. Not that that would be too relevant in this matchup. I would be pretty surprised if Blissey decided to go for Body Slam here. Both players thinking over what to do. Undisputed has consistently played and voiced an opinion that not necessarily that T-Tar is overrated, but that he's very comfortable bringing a non-T-Tar team, and that he believes, he said earlier today, that he believes that non-T-Tar teams very frequently match up well against T-Tar teams. So if he wasn't just saying that to throw his opponents off or whatever, let's say that he's to be taken at face value and he genuinely believes that, then it's very possible here that he did not bring T-Tar again in this match. He may or may not have. It's hard to know without knowing his last two pokes, but I could totally see a scenario where his last two are just bulky water and something other than T-Tar. I think one of the last for Charmflash is definitely Magneton, and the last one after that, I don't know. It could just be T-Tar. Both players thinking over what to do. Not sure why he opted for the Magneton switch here. Maybe he thought that Milotic was going to come in? I'm not sure. I can't imagine that Magneton's overly threatening to Celebi. Even if it did have, say, HP Fire, HP Ice, something like that. Who cares? And Charmflash certainly isn't afraid. He's going to stay in, go for Psychic, but all these things, Milotic, Blissey, both Celebes, Lax, they're all very, very bulky when there's no sand in play. Either player could still have a T-Tar, but so far that is not the case. And it's a relatively slow, grindy game here. Charmflash has not lost a game yet as of that last one in this tournament. There's a huge play for Charmflash. He's going to stay in, Psychic onto the Celebi, predicting that Zapdos would come in. He's going to be right, and he's going to get the knockout. So now it's a matter of, does Dugtrio knock him out, or does Celebi maybe knock him out back, if in fact he has HP Grass? Because most Dugtrios do not kill most Celebes from 100%. That is actually very unlikely. Now, granted, it could be an adamant Dugtrio, and it could also be some funky Celebi that just is not bulky at all, but most Celebes are EV to always live in this situation and to one-hit KO back. Now, granted, that was a critical hit, but like I said, most Celebes that I know with HP Grass are EV to always kill Dugtrio in that situation, so I don't know if the crit mattered. Undisputed making a comment about it in the chat, so I think he thinks that it did matter. He obviously knows his set better than I do, but I mean, there's not a lot of variance with Dugtrio spreads. Nobody runs like 200 special defense on Dugtrio or whatever. That's not a thing. So I'm going to speculate that the crit did not matter, or maybe it made it, or maybe it was a roll where the crit makes it not a roll. I don't know. But like I said, most Celebes are EV to knock out Dugtrio always in that situation, so I don't know if that critical hit mattered. But whether it did or whether it didn't, it happened. The game is what it is, and right now, Charmflash is in great shape with a 6-4 advantage. It's not over. Last Poke Lax can be a prick, especially if he manages to run Celebi out of Leech Seeds. That's a crucial move in stopping Last Poke Lax or stopping Last Poke Coon. And he has 12 of them, make that 10 of them now because he's leech seeding into Coon, which is the last poke. So, full team revealed for Undy. If Charmflash does in fact have a Magneton, which I really, really think he does, let's see, what does that mean? It's good against the Coon-ish. I mean, it's good offensively. It doesn't take boosted surfs very well. It could be good against the opposing Magneton if he's faster, if he has HP Fire, yada yada. He does an okay chunk to Lax, and he's garbage against Celebi. So Magneton has more than zero use for Charmflash if he does have that. And he shows Scarm here, and there's Dougie, so I'm wrong. Charmflash actually does not have Magneton here, but this works out really, really well. He shows the Scarm to bait the Magneton and then goes immediate previously unrevealed Dougie. Smart heads-up play from Charmflash. That's a veteran ADV play there from someone who is not an ADV veteran, so very impressive. And this game is looking all Charmflash. It looks like we're going to be going to a Game 3 almost certainly. Very, very well played by Charmflash. Nice bait, and Undisputed did nothing wrong by switching to Magneton there. I think the overwhelming majority of players, including myself, would have made that play there. So I'm not at all faulting Undisputed for making that switch. It was just a really nice play from Charmflash. So yeah, Undisputed is now trying to set up his last poke either Kuhn or last poke Lax, that's going to be his best bet to win. Charmflash should be able to handle it with the full 6 Pokemon that he has left. Granted, he doesn't have like the hard-hitting physical poke like the Aerodactyl Metagross kind of poke that really pressures the last Pokemon in this kind of situation, but all things considered, even though there is no sand in this entire game, therefore things are very bulky, all things considered, I think Charmflash will be able to grind it out. He has 3 layers of spikes going on. Every time something switches, it's going to punish. There is a Dugtrio follow-up. There are still Leech Seeds left. I think we said 10. Well, it says 11, but it's not counting pressure. So 10 Leech Seeds, and yeah, and then there's the possibility that Claydol has Boom. It may or may not, but I think that it should on this team. I think that you need just a little more assurance against the last poke, and also Boom traditionally has really great synergy with Dugtrio. Boomgar into Dugtrio is a very famous combo. It's been around forever. And Boomdoll into Dugtrio is not quite as good because Doll doesn't bait out crucial targets like, say, Blissey the way that Gengar does, but it's still good. Boom into Dugtrio, just as an in general, is very powerful. So we're going through the motions here. Blissey has T-Bolt. Interesting. Ice Beam, Toxic, T-Bolt, Soft Boiled. Interesting set. So it's like a Calm Mind Bliss with Toxic instead of Calm Mind. I can get down with that. Gives it a little bit more coverage. I mean, there is nothing else on Charmflash's team that can learn Thunderbolt, so if you feel that you really need that move somewhere and you need that electric coverage, then, well, I guess Blissey will provide. And there's a critical hit, which, I mean, is annoying and it really hurts Undisputed, but I don't know how much it matters at this point. Like I said, I mean, they're going through the motions, and I don't fault them. I wouldn't concede either. I'm not that kind of player. I don't concede until I'm absolutely 100% dead. But I don't believe that it matters in this particular situation. I believe that this game was going to go Charmflash's way either way. He does get hit with a freeze here, Charmflash does, but it's on a natural cure poke, and there's a Leech Seed in play, so I don't know that it overly matters. Charmflash could just go to Bliss here, or Milotic, very safely, and there's really nothing Undy can do to capitalize on that. So we end up with Milo on Lax, we end up with Skarm on Lax. There's a Curse Boost. Blow him away soon after. Body Slam, 19%, and there is the Whirlwind. So for Undisputed, he's got to figure out, I mean, not that he has full control over the situation, but he's got to kind of figure out which last poke does he want to go down to? Which one does he think gives him a better chance of winning the game? The problem, I think, is the Celebi, and that whatever last poke you go to, it's going to get Leech Seeded, and that's going to be a huge problem. Maybe the Kuhn needs to crit and kill the Celebi with an Ice Beam for there to be any chance here. There's another crit favoring Charmflash, so I mean, not making Undisputed's life any easier. Just an immediate crit Thunderbolt there for 70%. Here's Dugtrio. That should seal it because the Kuhn has another sleep turn, so it's going to be a double Earthquake here. He'll survive the first one, but he's going to be asleep. So we now know what the last poke is because, well, Undisputed only has one left. He has no choice in the matter. It's going to be last poke Lax. Dugtrio should just stay in an Earthquake here, and this game should be pretty much done. There's the EQ. There's the Body Slam. Must find Para, and does not. So this game is going to be a 6-0 victory for Charmflash. Not that the end score necessarily matters, and also not that 6-0 is necessarily an accurate representation as to how close this game was. But nevertheless, it is a 6-0 victory for Charmflash, and that is going to send us to a decisive Game 3. Which my voice can probably wait for, but me, the person, my excitement, cannot wait to see. So Game 3 coming up any moment. See if I can reach the refrigerator from my computer chair without pulling the thing out of the wire. Desperately need a drink here. Gonna go for... I do drink a gallon a day, like I said. Get down a gallon a day of milk, but we're actually gonna grab some Snapple Raspberry Tea. Very good for when my throat is feeling it, as it is right now. Give this thing a good little shake and treat you guys to some drink gulping sounds as we wait for the third game. Whew. God, this stuff is so good. It's so cold and refreshing, just perfect on the throat. Snapple raspberry tea, guys, for real. Check this stuff out. A lot of chit-chatting going on here. Oh, we got our POCL team channel here for the Winchester Wobbuffets. Our team is 3-1 right now and in good shape to make playoffs. That's pretty cool. POCL main server, ADV community, which is exactly what it sounds. Smogon, and then this is my Clash Royale clan, RF Esports. Woo! That's still that game. Yep, just waiting, my friends. Charmflash has looked good. He just has. I mean, I'm not surprised. He's just so talented. But yeah, I mean, win or lose, he won the first set. He's taken Undisputed to 3 games, whether he comes out on top or not. He's had a good showing. He's just a really talented player. I mean, I think that Charmflash is got to be just a top 10 as far as just raw talent. Just a top 10 player in the world. Not a top 10 ADV player necessarily, but he's just brilliant in Gen 7. He understands OU really, really well. He understands UU really, really well. He's a great Oros player. I mean, he just has the right mind for the game. He's just a brilliant player, and I mean, he's already arrived. I don't think it's fair to call him an up-and-comer at this point, but I mean, if he sticks with the game, he's just a future superstar if he's not a superstar already. He's somebody that should be super expensive and sought after in SPL and in all these team tours, and he's just going to dominate the game for a little while. He's just that level of guy. And I mean, Undisputed's just been good forever, too. He had the best ADV record in SPL at one point a few years ago. He's had World Cup success. I mean, he's been deep in every tournament there is to go deep in. Just widely respected as one of the best ADV players in the world. And that's not a new thing either. He's not a gimmick or a trend. He's been around for years. I can't wait to see the third game. I'm very excited. I really like both of these guys. I have Charmflash on my POCL team. We get along really well. I have a lot of respect for him. Undisputed I've known for years. The 1 year that I did play SPL, he tested with me a good amount, and we've been friends before and after that, and have always gotten along. I've only played against him one time in a team tour. I won, but it was for some dumb tours, for like ROA Premier League or something like that. It was years ago. Anyway, here's the third game, finally. So, Undisputed on the bottom, T-Tar lead, Charmflash on the top, Metagross lead. Immediate Meteor Mash turn, connects, doesn't attack raise, and here's the switch up to Hidden Power Fire, and that's going to show us that T-Tar does have leftovers. So it's going to rule out Lumberry, and yeah, just back to Meteor Mash. Charmflash, just, alright, whatever you throw in front of me, I'll attack it, that's fine. And he's just going to go for the Hidden Power again. So every single time, no predictions, not trying to catch a switch. Every single time, he has simply attacked whatever is sitting in front of him. And he has not tried to get cute or deviate or switch. He's just attacking whatever is in front of him. And that's going to continue for 6 turns in a row before finally he is possibly forced out here by a Salamence. Though Intimidate does not matter on it because of Clear Body. There's Fire Blast, and there is Boom. So the net of all of that is a 1-for-1 trade with the Meta and the Mence. 1 layer of spikes for Undisputed, and not bad, 53% damage on the Skarm. Relatively even. And then a very small amount of damage on the T-Tar. He's at 99%. Woohoo. So, Gengar on Skarm here. It's at 53. Might protect for lefties. Does. And Charmflash takes advantage of that by going for Substitute. That's got to be scary, because now you can't go to T-Tar because of Focus Punch, and you don't want to stay in because of Thunderbolt, so that's a little bit awkward for Undisputed. I mean, Protect, I think, was a good play. I wouldn't have made a different play. That's probably what I would have done if I'm Undisputed, but Charmflash catches him off guard and goes for the sub. Interesting. That's got to make Undisputed think. I don't know his team. He's got 3 unrevealeds, but This is an awkward position all of a sudden. It's actually really hard to switch into this. Thunderbolt's a bitch for Skarm here, and I mean, you got to think it as Focus Punch. There's no reason other than Focus Punch to be using a subset. I mean, like some dumb like Hypno, Destiny Bond, Parish Song set or whatever, but it's clearly not that. And he's going to go Ice Punch here against Claydol. So 45%, and he probably has to get out of the way of Psychic here. So Claydol is probably the best thing that Undisputed realistically could have done, and he does get the Claydol in here. Charmflash is going to take advantage of the Psychic, goes to a T-Tower here. A Pursuit Tower would be the ideal thing, but we don't actually know what it has. It does have lefties, so that's going to rule out DD Lum, Earthquake, and it is Crunch, which is not going to kill, but I believe that leaves the Claydol all but dead either way, because now if Charmflash goes for Pursuit, which is what I think he's going to do, the Claydol dies whether it stays or whether it goes. The only way out of this situation for Undisputed is by staying in, Earthquaking, and landing a crit, which is probably what he goes for, unless he's just going to boom on it. But I think the play is to just Earthquake here. It has effectively the same result as booming, only it gives you a chance to crit and still keep the Claydol. So I think it is an Earthquake and a Pursuit turn, respectively. I mean, assuming no crit in the Pursuit actually gets to happen. That's got to be the play for Undy. I mean, you just lose the Claydol for nothing if you switch, right? He's got to be aware of that. I mean, unless it just doesn't have Pursuit. But yeah, it does, and I'm surprised by that play for Undisputed to just lose the Claydol like that. I mean, if it was going to die either way, why wouldn't you just stay in and get an EQ off? And wow, it matters here too, see? Because now that extra damage that was not on the T-Tower because he didn't EQ is going to let the T-Tower stay in on the opposing tower and get a Brick Break off, and it's going to do 70%. So I think that Claydol switch was a mistake. If he Earthquakes, it has the exact same result. He gets T-Tower on T-Tower, which apparently is the match that he wanted, with the big difference being the Earthquake would have just killed as opposed to having to eat a Brick Break back. So Undisputed might have screwed up that sequence. And now Charmflash in a pretty good position. Flygon comes in here. Rock Slide is what hits it. It was not an Earthquake, so good on Undisputed there to switch it up, knowing that a Pokemon immune to Earthquake, maybe he was playing around Gengar, but Flygon works as well, knowing that an Earthquake immune was going to come in. And another great switch from Charmflash. He gets Gengar in on Skarm here, staying one step ahead of his opponent. And a big Thunderbolt, and the only thing he gets punished there is a Whirlwind, dragging out a previously unrevealed Cloyster, which, well, Undisputed's Rapid Spinner is down, so the Cloyster might have some merit here. Charmflash playing well, and like I said, I think Undisputed made a mistake by not going for Earthquake on that sequence there where he ended up pursuing. Wow, this is pretty tight. Charmflash actually is looking pretty decent to win. This game's not over by any means, but I think Charmflash is ahead right now for sure, especially when you consider that both the Skarm and the T-Tower are pretty low. T-Tower at 43, Skarm at 11. And I believe everything on Charmflash's end, other than his T-Tower, is pretty healthy, yeah. And then, of course, they both have an unrevealed. Charmflash debating here if the Rachi's going to get cute. Alright, that gets Undy back into the game, so Charmflash is going to blow up into a substitute. Cloyster does not get a lot done there. He does get a layer of spikes down. That helps, but beyond that, Cloyster does not do too much. So we find ourselves in a 4-4. This game definitely closer than it was a moment ago. Very interesting. I thought it was going to be a Flygon follow-up, but it's Last Poke Jolteon. And that is not what he wanted to see. It is Last Poke Blissey for Undisputed. It makes me really question the boom there on the Rachi. I don't know what he was trying to hit. We didn't even know about the Blissey at the time. So the three pokes that he could have blown up on are T-Tower, which resists it and is really low anyway. Skarmory, which resists it and is really low anyway. And the Jirachi, which even if that had hit a non-substitute, how much would that have really done? 40%? 50, maybe percent? I don't know about that boom from Charmflash. That really might have been a mistake. We'll see what ends up happening, but I really liked Charmflash's position in this game up until the boom. I don't know what the boom was trying to hit. I think the reason he did that, I don't necessarily agree with the play, but I think the reason he did that, I think he was playing around just like a combine from Rachi and not letting the Rachi set up. I think the play, as far as Charmflash was concerned, is the Rachi combines up, you blow up on it, and then Charmflash follows up with Flygon to force it out. So Rachi would be at like 50%-ish. There'd be a spike down, and then he's got to get out of the way because of the Flygon. So that might have been, in Charmflash's mind, the best way he has to neutralize the Jirachi, which otherwise he must perceive is a threat to his team. That's what I think the thought process was. And I don't hate it, but I ultimately don't agree with his play. Alright, so here's a substitute from Jolteon. I don't know how helpful that is. Where's he passing that realistically? An Ice Beam would break the sub if he stays in. It would break it, obviously, on Flygon. And it would break it on Gengar. T-Tar at 14%. I guess that's your guy. Yeah, I mean, you could pass to T-Tar here. I don't see much. I mean, that's got to be the play, right? I don't see much other purpose. No, he disagrees. He's gonna go blow for blow. What the fuck? And the sub doesn't break? Is this some weird bulky Jolteon that's EV to always live? I don't know. How did the sub not break? Gengar's an awkward switch. We know that the T-Tar is Brick Break. I don't know why he didn't go to that. I mean, what other use is he going to get out of the thing when it's at 14%? He's going to step on the spike and be on his deathbed. I don't get why you wouldn't have passed the first time to the T-Tar and get some use out of it before it dies. Charmflash starting to make some questionable plays. I don't get the substitute here either. Clearly, Blissy's going to Ice Beam. We know it's a Focus Puncher. I guess we don't. We haven't actually seen it. Maybe it's bait. Maybe this whole time he's just trying to set up a boom turn on it, but man, I'm disappointed. Charmflash has played so well so far. I don't know if it's nerves or if this is finally unfamiliarity with ADV catching up to him, but a couple of questionable later game decisions from Charmflash might cost him here. He switches it up to Focus Punch at this point, and he is right that there's going to be a switch, but is it enough? 28% is not that exciting on the Jirachi. Flygon at 71%. This is probably as good a time as any for that thing to switch in. It lives anything that the Jirachi is going to do other than a crit or an Ice Punch. Oh, man, I'm disappointed with Charmflash. I mean, I don't care who wins. I like both of these guys. I'm not biased at all. I just, I think Charmflash has thrown away some opportunities here. I think Charmflash could have already really been in a great position to win this game and be in a good position to beat Undy and be 2-0 and just have a really good underdog story after beating what would have been UD in the first round and then Undisputed in this round. That sucks. The Flygon play, I would not have played around. Wow. And that's going to be a concession. I don't know if that's premature or not. Yeah, maybe not. I mean, all three of the pokes remaining for Charmflash are not in great shape, and I don't know that he can break the Blissey at this point, so maybe that's not a premature concession. Charmflash is going to concede, but I can't help but wonder if he could have won this game. I think that he could have. I think when he had the substitute, he should have passed it to the T-Tar, and then, like, whether or not the Blissey breaks it, it's not irrelevant. It's really great if he doesn't break it. But even if he does break it, the T-Tar outspeeds the Bliss and gets a chance to get an attack off. And no matter what, that attack would have been very dangerous in this situation. And it could have really snowballed from there. So I think Charmflash missed a couple of opportunities in the late game. And against us, and I question the boom too. I question the boom. I get why he did it, but I don't think I agree with it. But yeah, I mean, against Undisputed, you can't get away with a whole heck of a lot. Just one too many mistakes, I think, for Charmflash. He looked good. This is a non-ADV main. It's not even his second or even his third best tier. So you got to give the guy a little bit of slack. But all in all, I think he made just one too many mistakes, and Undisputed was able to capitalize. So he puts up a good fight, but ultimately Undisputed is going to win the set 2-1. He's going to be 2-0 in this tournament, and Charmflash is going to get knocked down to 1-1 and into the lower bracket. Alrighty, guys, I hope you enjoyed. My throat is ready to have a riot. But please give me a thumbs up and consider giving me a subscription to this YouTube channel if you've enjoyed the tournament. I've put a lot of time and effort into it, as have many other people, and I think we deserve your subscription if you like what you see. I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.